Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Doctor's Notes podcast by Doc's Castle Media, a podcast I created to share the notes of one of my favorite reality shows ever, Big Brother USA. I'm your host, Doc, and I'm here to talk BP perspective from Doc's point of view. So here we go. So, welcome back. Let's talk about Big Brother. Episode 24 this week, not a usual week. Okay, so this episode we basically are trying to figure out what's going on with the Resurrection Rumble because where we last left off, Cameron, he wanted to win against Jared, and he was in the league in the competition for the Resurrection Rumble. We know that there were like 3 rounds for the competition, and the competition or the episode started off with the 3rd round, the final round. The final round being, this was the rules being, I think, the first person who had 30 balls balancing in the shovel during the graveyard competition, basically, was the winner. And Cameron ranked supreme in this competition. He was the winner. He was the one that was the most steady. Jared just was not as steady as Cameron, was rushing, looking nervous. It just wasn't looking good compared to Cameron's game in the Resurrection Rumble. The episode also started off like everybody's place in like who they were rooting for the Resurrection Rumble. We knew that Corey, he didn't want Jared to come. We knew that Jared was playing a game to catch up with Cameron, and because he wasn't steady in the competition, and he was just like, I think he was nervous for the most part, but where he stood as far as where he was working in the house, I think Jared is more so he was just going to work with Blue. That's somebody he wanted to trust. His mom, that's somebody he wanted to trust. I think that's the 2 people that he kind of knew he wanted to trust and work with. Blue's stance in the house basically was she still was rooting for Jared, so she basically wanted him to win because he was an ally to her, even though that she's working with Matt, Jack, and Corey right at the moment. She does have under wraps that she kind of wants to have. She wants to work with Jared if he comes back into the house. But if he doesn't come back in the house, she still got a crew that she can work with. You know, we got Bowie Jane who's rooting for Cameron to win because she worked with him in the past before, so she doesn't necessarily know what to do with Jared in this game because she hasn't worked with Jared in previous alliances. So she's rooting for Cameron. We know that America is rooting for Cameron because Jared had put America and Corey in the block last week prior to the eviction. Mimi, she's rooting for Jared because she doesn't really know where Cameron's gameplay is, so she's rooting because she's working with Jared. Felicia, she's rooting for Jared. She says basically, you know, she was upset about where he went with the week with her with Izzy. But, you know, he got voted out, he came back, and she's willing to work with him again if he comes back in the house. So that's where Felicia stands. We know that Cerise stands. That's her son. That's her baby. That's who she's rooting for. That's the only person that she's willing to work with. She don't trust anyone else in the house. But this is pretty much the stance of, like, literally everyone in the house. Oh, I think Jack is another person. Jack, he's rooting for Cameron. Matt is rooting for, I think, Cameron. I think it's pretty much majority of the house is rooting for Cameron to come back, and the other portion of the house is rooting for Jared, which is mainly like this small bit of people that is left on Jared's side of the house, which is his mom, Mimi, and Felicia. Oh yeah, and Blue, who's dipping on to the other side. But the competition, we know who's rooting for who basically is expecting what and where their stance is. But at the end of the day, Cameron won the Resurrection Rumble, and the fate to play in the do or die competition was placed in his hands. So, when he won that competition, like, I just like Cameron's swag. Like, Cameron just got like a clueless swag. Like, it seemed like he just he's so flawless with his wins, honestly, with his veto wins, with his Resurrection Rumble return back into house wins and stuff like that. He's just a beast. Like, if he ain't already America's favorite because of him being targeted so much in his house and then overcoming all of that, like, he's definitely someone to watch in this game. I enjoy watching Cameron's gameplay this season. I feel like he's one of the best players right now that we didn't have in a long time. Like, we've had other games or other seasons lately that just haven't shown too much of a strategy in the players. It's very rare that we have a player that will appear and really like shake up the game and show us some worthy strategies. Like when we had the like the second Big Brother All-Star season, I think it was like the redemption season. The people that were in the redemption season, like some of them were of newer seasons, but they weren't the characters, or they weren't the players that were, I felt, worthy of redeeming themselves. Some of the people that were worthy of redeeming themselves didn't even come into the game, and I'm pretty sure they probably didn't want to come into the game because they probably didn't want to tarnish the type of gameplay that they played previously before. Like, and I'm referring to, like, you know, having someone like Dirk, that was also in the same season that Cody won the redemption season. The same season that Cody was in his initial season. He didn't come back. Dirk didn't come back. And Paul didn't come back. Paul was in the season with Devon. And Devon, she came back into the the redemption season. Like, some of the people that they put into the redemption season, I didn't necessarily think needed to be in that. They more so probably was in there because he was America's favorite. But as far as the strategies of their gameplay and them really shaking the game up, like, I really like a good social game player. So, like, I don't know. I don't want to say that Cameron is a good social game player because he's really playing this game alone. That's what it's showing. But he knows how to play this game alone. Like, I think a person that plays a really good game strategy for me for the Big Brother game is someone who literally plays the game with everyone, but at the same time plays the game alone. Like, they don't really have too many allegiance to anyone. They have their one person that they take to the end of the game and literally just play with that person. There isn't no wavering with that person, and you know that, like, the type of strategy they had, they played like a Russian roulette type of strategy. The type of player that I'm representing. I'm talking about Dr. Will. I would say that he played a game with someone. He played with Boogie, but at the end of the day, his strategy was just Russian roulette. You didn't know what you do week to week basis. He played a week to week game, lying, deceitful. He was a really good strategist and played this game literally kind of on his own. Literally, like, his philosophy was a loner philosophy. You do got a person that you work with, but he had a loner philosophy. Got him pretty far in the game. And then when you think about other people in the past, because that's Dr. Will, for example, you've got Paul. I feel like Paul is one of those good examples. I think that Tyler is one of those good examples. These people have someone that they are playing with, but ultimately their philosophy is a game for themselves, a selfish game. So I'm looking at Cameron in comparison. To me, Cameron, he's playing this game alone. He did have someone that he was playing with, and that was Red. And honestly, if no one infiltrated their alliance, I feel like they would have gotten very far, because Cameron is proving that he can get far without even having someone. But he is someone he was working with, but he's playing on a week-to-week basis with the week-to-week deals, and he is just unstoppable. He's put on the block. He saves himself. He gets HOH, and he makes shots, and he makes moves, and makes one week-to-week deals, and he's playing a game that is selfish and solo to his own philosophy. So it's not really a philosophy that's pretty much anyone who comes into the Big Brother house and actually come in with their own philosophy and conquer this game. It is like, it's very entertaining to watch, and it's entertaining to watch Cameron show us his philosophy of how to play Big Brother. I think the other person that's in this season that I could say the same thing for is Sari. It's easy to watch, or it's very entertaining to watch her philosophy. And even though she wasn't playing this game solo or whatever, her philosophy is still a selfish one for herself, regardless of how she's playing. The people that she was working with is knocked out, so we're about to see how strong she is, and if she will continue to work on a week-to-week basis. And if it's like, whose philosophy reigns supreme, honestly, out of the two of them? Who knows? But I didn't mean to go on to a rant about that for so long. Back to the recap. So Cameron wins the Resurrection Rumble, and we see Jared. He cries. He's upset about his loss, and he goes into a room with all the black people. Ironic, but honestly, all the black people are working together this season. And if you guys haven't noticed, yeah, all the people. So he goes in the room with all the black people together, and they're all consoling him. Felicia gives him a speech about family, and even though that they were against each other at some point in the game, that she's still his, still family, still gotta stick it out and be there for each other. Sari, Felicia, and Mimi encourage him to not give up, and Sari says this is not the finish line. It's just a bunch of beautiful black women showing up for a black man and uplifting him. It was a great scene to see on television and on a show like Big Brother, because these type of dynamics, you don't really see black women uplifting black men on television, especially on prime television like this CBS network, unless it's like a specialized black show. Yeah, but for the most part, that was dope to see on reality TV. And it's something to point out, because if you aren't black, you don't know how significant that is. But for most black people, for a lot of black people, that is very significant to see. Anyway, moving forward. So, another thing I noticed while I was watching the show, we're definitely out of the pandemic, because Julie was standing in the audience hosting this episode. That was very weird when it got to a segment when they was about to go to commercial, and seeing Julie stand behind people that were sitting in the audience instead of on the stage. It's good to know that we are out of the pandemic, everyone. We're getting back to normal, but that is scary. At the same time, too, that is scary. After coming out of what we've been through. Wow. But when we come back, we get a little snippet of how Sari is feeling after Cameron's win. She is very deflated, and she's devastated that Jared can't play in the do or die competition, or he doesn't even have the choice to decide whether he can play in the do or die competition. Everything is depending on Cameron, so they feel like their hope is lost a little bit in the game. And it's kind of sad on their side of the house. But when we go into the other side of the house, Corey is excited that Cameron won. America and him are celebrating. Cameron pitches to them. He even comes to them now. He's ready to make moves and ready to make deals for when he comes into the house, because he needs to know who he's working with, just in case they're going to try to work against him. So Cameron, he pitches a 1 week of trust to Jag and Matt. Corey isn't in this deal. And I want to say that is significant. But him having the 1 week of trust deal with Jag and Matt, and not including Corey, is significant, because it's letting me know that Cameron is still targeting Corey. He still has a little target on Corey in America. So he's like, kind of like coming into the house, just already knowing who he would kind of target. And the 1 week of trust is, again, another thing to his 1 week deal. So he goes to Jag and he goes to Matt, and basically he's pitching that he will work with them. I mean, he has the idea that Jag and him are the most unanimously voted out house guests there. And, two of the biggest threats in the house coming together to work together, it is something to be said. It's something to be had. So that's a new dynamic and a new alliance that is building up between Cameron, Jag, and Matt. Now, speaking of alliances, like we always talk about alliances in my episodes. So I want to do a quick recap of alliances, since I just brought up that this is a brand new alliance between the three of them. Where we are with other alliances in the house. Basically, we still have Mimi and Felicia with their final two alliance. We don't never really see them really speaking any game or whatever. We just know that they're being solid with each other. It's not really much. Their gameplay is not really much. But in this episode, we do see that Corey and America are willing to work with Mimi and Felicia when it comes time to getting rid of other people and that's currently on their side of the house out, because eventually people got to go after each other. So you got to reach out to other people. Corey reached out and he had conversations in this episode with Felicia and Mimi about possibly working as a 4-person alliance between them. That's a brand new alliance coming up. It's interesting. I don't think it's really solid. I don't think it's that Mimi, honestly, I really don't think Mimi will be loyal to that decision at all, because she doesn't trust anyone. She really doesn't trust anyone. The only person right now I feel like she's willing to trust is Felicia. That's the person that she would actually probably vote with. But when it comes to Corey and America, I feel as though maybe they don't talk enough, they don't speak enough game enough, and I'm not sure how much that this 4-person alliance between the 4 of them would be successful. But it's an alliance that is made. There's no name for it. But it's interesting because Matt caught on to Corey having conversations with Felicia and Mimi. Now this is significant because Matt is in an alliance with Corey, with Jag and Blue. They have a alliance that they just created last week to get Jared out. And Matt is seeing that Corey is talking to Felicia and Mimi. It's bringing a lot of worry to him. And it's changing up the dynamic of that alliance that they created last week to get Jared out. Matt, he hears this information. Matt goes back to Jag and he goes back to, Jag and Blue. And he tells them about him seeing Corey talking to Felicia and Mimi. And this stirs up some drama between them and how they kind of don't really trust Corey too well or too much. But I wanted to bring up the fact that is significant because Matt has already made a deal with Jag, with Cameron. So he still did the same thing that Corey is doing. So we just are basically seeing the development of where the houses are about to turn. Like the house is about to turn. It looks like it's going to be Corey against Cameron. That's what it's looking like it's turning towards. And they are varying up their votes for whoever is possibly going to be on the block out of this new dynamic of power struggle. So let me see. That is so Matt, Jag, and Blue. They have an alliance. Corey, America, Mimi, and Felicia. It's a 4-person alliance that's developing. But the solid one out of that group of people that I feel that I've named, or the most solid alliance that I feel like is in this house right now, because we always worrying about like the final twos. You pay attention to the final twos. And I think that right now it's Corey and America. It's Corey and America. Like there's really, I don't I think that's really kind of the only final two that's Corey and America and Matt and Jag. Matt and Jag seem to be a pretty solid group right now. I don't see anything, I don't see them turning on each other at all. I don't see Corey and America turning on each other at all. Mimi and Felicia is a possibility that they can turn on each other, because all of their alliances is just dismantled and broke up. So I'm not really sure how their relationship is with each other. They don't talk game, so I'm not sure if they would fall apart or not. But it's worth listing them as a final two alliance that could be strong. It's worth it. Cirie is officially alone. There is no alliance that Cirie is in. It is interesting to see her come from being in so much power and us watching the Cirie game, and now she being left alone. It's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Oh, and I just basically kind of told y'all where the game went, because without even explaining to y'all the last game, the do or die competition, Jared left because I'm explaining that Cirie is alone. So let's go back to the recap again. I'm sorry, guys. Cameron made the decision when it came down to who was going to compete in the do or die competition. Of course, Cameron, he chose himself. And I feel like everybody knew that Cameron's going to choose himself. And it was just right. He takes his own fate and he puts it in his own hands. From experiences from playing this game, he has had very bad experiences putting trust in someone else or just putting his game in someone else's hands. So why not? Why not play this zombie game for yourself? And you determine if you come into the house or not. And he did it. Cameron, he got the ball. Well, the game was basically, you had to get a ball, the golden ball inside of a zombie hand. And this is the familiar Big Brother game where you're trying to shimmy up a ball up a pole. I don't really know how to explain it. You guys can watch the show to kind of see how it is, but you're trying to shimmy the ball up a board. The board being a zombie. You have a certain amount of time to get the ball up this board and into a hole. And Cameron had 3 minutes to do so, to get one ball into the zombie hand hole in this competition. It was just, over 1 minute left for him that was left on the clock. So he beat that and won and got himself back into the Big Brother house. Yay, Cameron. Cameron is back. Woo! And then Jared exits. And in his exit interview, he basically was just telling everybody that it's just tough. It was just tough to watch Cameron win and determine the fate of his game. And he cried during his interview because he's worried about his mom. He's worried about Cirie's game because she's completely in the house alone. And he hopes that Blue and her could work together and trust each other, but we'll see. I feel like Cirie will actually reach out to Blue and try to, create some type of strategy where she could work with Blue, but we haven't seen her work with Blue at all so far in the game, so I don't know how successful that will work and how if Blue would trust her enough to even play the game with her. Who knows? Either way, she's alone and Jared is gone. So now I want to explain who the MPP players are in this episode, because we have completely went over the episode now and we are left to figure out what is for Sunday's episode. We're figuring out who the HOH is and who's going to be the nominees. We're going back to our normal scheduled program. So with that being said, let me address who our MVP player of this episode is, and we have 2 for this episode. It is Matt and Cameron. Matt is an MVP player because he picked up on Corey making gameplays with Felicia and went back to his alliance to snitch. That's a major move in this game, because that's letting us know the house being flipped to another dynamic where Corey may possibly be a target for Matt, Jag, and blue. Or it could also be a red flag for Ned or anybody on that side of the house being a target for Corey in America. Yeah. It just basically makes Matt an MVP player because he took a major point of information and used it to his alliance benefit. The second MVP player of the episode is Cameron, of course, because Cameron won the do or die competition to win back himself in the house, and he also won the Resurrection Rumble. He is making these moves. He has been a target since week 1. He is a beast. He deserves the MVP player of the episode because even still, while he won those competitions, he still came in with his 1 week deal and made a 1 week of trust deal with people that he wants to work with. He's continually to still fight strategically in the Big Brother house, and that's why he gets an MVP player award. My Twitter update shouldn't even be a Twitter update. I should just let it wait into the next episode, the next podcast, because it's just that. But I already know who the winner on the HOH is for the week. And I don't normally share this information with y'all, but because I haven't had a Twitter update in a few episodes, probably for a week, I'm going to share this Twitter update with y'all. The HOH that won is Cameron. He won. Cameron is a beast. So, again, with that knowledge, with that Twitter update, we now know that Cameron is the winner of the Resurrection Rumble. He's the winner of the Do or Die competition. And he is the HOH winner this week. It's off the chain. It's going to be off the chain. But either way. We'll figure out on Sunday when Big Brother comes on, basically you already found out who the HOH is, but we'll find out our nominees. We'll figure out who Cameron puts on the block. So I don't know that. We'll find out who Cameron puts on the block. We no longer are watching Big Brother on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are obsolete for Big Brother. We are now moved on to Tuesday night. So it's a new night for Big Brother on Tuesdays, starting this week. And then we go to a usual live eviction episode on Thursdays. I wanted to just put that update in there because they've been switching up and the times a lot lately, dates a lot lately. Just make sure that y'all know the days this week so that we can keep up to date with the show. But until next time, you guys, let me wrap this up. We have talked about who all the alliances are in this house. We've talked about who the winner of the competition was, who's back into the house now. We have Cameron, who's reigned supreme, who's also the MVP player along with Matt. We are finding out that we don't even have alliance names anymore. We don't even know anything about. It's just been too much mixture up with alliances, so there really isn't any alliance that reigns supreme too much. But we definitely know that there is one person that is playing this game entirely alone, and that is Sari. We talk about that in this episode. We talk about the Twitter update, and the Twitter update being that the HOH is Cameron. Straight up. That's the only Twitter update that I need to tell y'all, and that's it. But, anyway, that's my episode, the Doctor's Note podcast. Peace out, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning into the Doctor's Notes podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you found value in what you heard today, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. For more updates and Doc's Castle content, follow me on my social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Doc's Castle. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics that you'd like to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out to me via email at docscastlemediainfo@gmail.com. Remember, your support means the world to me, and I'm grateful to have you as a listener. But until next time, peace out.